this arrow is the problem. We're gonna see. It's only like an inch off the dot, but it repeatedly does it. So here's how you fix it. It's just a minor issue. An inch to 2 inches from hitting center. So we're gonna square it. And what I'm looking at is the back end here, and there's just a tiny little gap in the bushing, and you can stick your fingernail in it actually. So we're gonna pull that out, see if I can, and then glue it back in. I can't get that out, it's got glue on it. So I'm gonna go get a torch. When you're doing repairs on a consistent basis, hot melt's a better way to go. And what I should do is clean this out next. Get some Q-tips and clean it, but first we're gonna square the end. So before I put that bushing back in, here's the secret thing. If you've got something like a little tool where you can have an abrasive end inside there and you can press this in here, here's the trick. Just get it right in the place and put your finger over this end down here, and then just rotate your arrow. And you can actually feel it like sandpaper on the end, just sanding off the end perfectly square and flush. And next, when I go to put these components together, you're gonna see things fit a lot better. And when you hold it up to the light, this end is perfectly flat. Where before it may not have been perfectly flat, but still shot okay. You know, because you put in a bushing, and that kind of helps to align tube to tube. But this squares off the back end, and if we've had any cracks or something like that, now's a good time to inspect. This looks like brand new. So next we're gonna get some alcohol and a Q-tip, swab that out, and then read pharmacy style. Main thing is though is get this cleaned out good so you'll get proper adhesion with the glue and the surface of the carbon tube inside. And what I do is one end's for the cleaning and the other end's for drying. Might not really make a difference, but you get a little bit on both ends of your Q-tip that way. Alright, we got this super fancy cap. That will evaporate if you leave it unattended. So next, we're going to take this, and it has a few nicks in the collar, but the main thing is this underside should feel like its original circumference, and you just trace it with your thumbnail. You can feel it for any imperfections. I'm going to recycle it and reuse it because I believe it's still straight enough. The other thing you look for in your bushings is any distortion in the corners. If you get a flat spot from an arrow collision, that may distort your nock enough that you can't use it. This one's pretty good, looks perfectly round. I'm just kind of holding it out to the sunlight and I can see through it nicely. And you can dry fit now, put that together and see how it looks. And I got a lot tighter tolerance than what I had before. Before I could put my fingernail into it, now I can't. It's going to be tight. So, just pull that apart. Oops. Can't hardly pull it apart now. It fits so tight once you get it in there. Okay. Good, so that's going to be straight no matter what. And it's worth fussing over. It's not too windy. I'll get this torch to warm up some glue. What we're going to do is put this back together and get ready to shoot it again. Should be good. And I'm still using the original nock and the original bushing. I'm just helping it out by sometimes taking apart components, checking them for their straightness, and some of it's quality and the way it was manufactured, and some of it's my error, the way I cut things on a saw. And if you don't do the squaring process, it is kind of like hit and miss if you don't square things up. Might work one time, and then it won't work the next time. There we go. So that's a pretty good bead of glue on there. And we'll just let that cool off for a second. That's a low temperature hot melt. So you could use a heat gun, but it's just basic stick of glue right there. There we go. All right. This next I'm going to take the extra step and realign the end of this bushing. So this is for extra credit. If you do this, now this is magic. This secondary step helps ensure when you seat that knock inside the bushing, everything's really going to line up good, or as well as possible. So see now that the end of this is extra shiny, and it changed things a little bit. It's not so much of a radius and maybe have a little bit of a wave in it, the finish. I'm going to do it a little bit more. And I'm not doing it so much that it's going to change the grain weight. It's just kind of scratching the surface down a little bit, hitting the high spots. But you can feel a difference. There we go. And the way I shoot this arrow, I've got its spine index, which is for a separate topic. But it's marked. There's the number on it right there. So that's the spine. So the way I shoot these is I'll weigh them, and I'll measure them, and I'll write down the grain weight of the shaft and the vanes when they're built after we weight select everything. And then we try to do spine alignment and make sure that's indicated. So when you press this back in, it's important to use some sort of a knot tool to make it go in straight. Doesn't really seem to matter whose brand it is, as long as it fits those ears reasonably well. When you're twisting in, if it's a force, you can twist these ears a couple thousandths and distort them enough to where they will actually come off your string and change your shot too. So it's a catch-22 fixing arrow sometime. Now I'm close. I'll rotate this just a little bit more. It should be good. All right, let's go try it out. So all we did was just fix one arrow because all the others were grouping really well, except for one just seemed to have a flyer. If you notice one arrow having personality, 9 times out of 10 it's this back end, and you'll be able to fix it and make it shoot. Nice. Really a good arrow. But it shoots. Mind you, these do have a bit of helical on them, but not a lot. Probably 2 degrees. But fixing the alignment of your knock and getting everything squared off back here is critical to dynamic column loading. We don't talk about that much in archery. George Chapman used to talk about it. Boom. All right. Boom. In the hole. Nice. Got it. Oh yeah. Figured out my sight a little better. And now I'm just hitting dead on, so yeah. You know, that's excellent. 50 yards. Gonna actually have a chance of hitting bonus rings if I was aiming at it. Oops, that was a non-typical.